The federal budget is coming together. Here we talk with Marcus Powlowski to get the details. It's James with Net News Ledger. Marcus Powlowski, the Member of Parliament for Thunder Bay Rainy River, is joining us. Marcus, it's budget time. What do our readers and viewers need to know?
It's everyone's favorite day day of the year. Budget time. It's right after Christmas. It's the second most important day of the year for all Canadians. But you know, I mean, it seems kind of dry. And I mean, had you asked me like a couple years ago if I was really excited about the pre-budgetary consultations, I said, what? Who cares? Like the budget. but now, as a member of Parliament, I do appreciate really the importance of the budget, and the budget's a bit like Santa Claus coming down the chimney and passing out the presents to all the wonderful kids. So and the big thing in the budget is, now, a lot of the costs are going to be fixed, right? Like you have so much transfer payments to the provinces, and you pay so much for healthcare in the provinces, and I'm certainly there's a lot of fixed costs in terms of the military, Transport Canada, et cetera, et cetera. So how much room for maneuvering and deciding where to allocate money in the budget, I'm not sure. If you look at the grand kind of total of budget money, however, I explained this yesterday in the pre-budgetary consult, and I thought, in my mind, this is the way I perceive the importance of the budget. I'm coming this in a bit of a roundabout way. So, as you may know, I studied global health or taught global health or global health law for a while. And in global health, the right to health is kind of an important concept, and a lot of people believe strongly in. The right to health is like the right to a home, a right to a job, a right to water. They're called economic, social, and cultural rights. Now, traditionally, we've thought of rights as being like political rights, the free association, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. These are civil and political rights. So under the UN came out with a covenant on civil and political rights. And so we all kind of say we have a right to free speech. We have a right to freedom of association, these kind of things. But then the communist countries said, well, how about the right to employment? How about the right to a home? How about the right to water? And so as a result, the UN came up with a second covenant, the covenant on economic and social and cultural rights. Now, most countries and most Western countries, those rights are not justiciable, meaning you can't go to court to claim that your right to water has been violated, your right to health has been violated. A few countries they have, South Africa and India, they have made it something where you could go to the court in South Africa, for example, and say, under the Constitution, I have a right to health. And so someone who wasn't getting dialysis services went and brought the government of South Africa to court and said, the government has to provide me dialysis services. And the court refused to do that. And what the South African court has ended up doing is kind of going back to what the courts in Canada and the United States say about such rights, which is that the decision as to where government places its limited resources is best left with the elected legislatures because of two reasons. One, because of competency, that they are better able to decide when the government only has so much money, whether that money should go to dialysis machines or whether it should go to schools or whether it should go to clinics or whether it should go to better daycare services. So the government is better than the courts who have kind of a more limited view of the world through a legal kind of lens. It's best left to the legislature, who supposedly has expertise in health and agriculture and education. So that decision as to how to divide up our limited resources is best left to the government because we're better able to, but two, because of the democratic principle. We're elected. And so we're ultimately accountable to the people. The courts aren't. So if we decide, for example, that we think everyone should be able to get dialysis who needs that, and as a result of that, you don't have money for, say, health clinics, or you don't have money to put into daycare, then if the people don't like it, they can unelect us. So the whole pre-budgetary process in the budget is basically determining who's going to get the limited financial resources, assistance of the government for what they want to do. So there's a lot of competing interests. There's people that say, well, we ought to have a guaranteed annual income. There's people that say we should put more money into daycare. There's people who say we should have changes to the Nutrition North program. There's a million kind of asks of the government. And what we're doing now in the pre-budgetary process is saying, well, tell us what you think. People, anyone can, a business, an individual can make a submission. There's an online place where you can make a submission, or send it to my office or Patty's office, and we will forward this on to the government. The caucus has come up with their own lists of asks, but this is the time where the Ministry of Finance looks and says, we're going to give some money to this or to this or to this. And so that's what this is all about. And it is an exercise of the democratic process that anyone, you, James, can come to us and say, I believe we need to have more money for private broadcasters to, I mean, whatever you like, and we will pass it on. So.
The the interesting time right now, of course, with COVID is, you can start to see the conservative side saying, whoa, we're spending too much. The New Democrats are saying we're not spending enough. The government is in the middle of it. And I'm reminded a little bit of a long ago member of parliament from here when it was Port Arthur, Fort William, but it was C.D. Howe from Port Arthur, who was the minister of almost everything during World War II. And he was being questioned about why they were spending so much money on submarine netting for the harbor in St. John's to keep U-boats out. And his comment was very simple. If we win the war, or if I got it backwards, if we lose the war, it won't matter. And if we win the war, no one will care. And so right now under COVID, the way I see it is very simple. We've got a lot of sectors of the economy that are hurting and needing help, and they're looking to government for that help.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out your net analogy there, but exactly what that means. But yeah, no, I mean, a lot of people are looking for our assistance. I think the government rightly believes, and I think there's a lot of economic think institutions that strongly support our position, which is one, what's best for the economy is to handle COVID. And the sooner we get through COVID, the stronger the economy will be. But the second thing is that to some extent spend your way out of the economic doldrums, so you have to put money into the economy now in order to get the economic payoffs later. And a lot of that, I mean, is kind of, I think, readily appreciable in that if you have a business and you have a bunch of businesses that fold now, well, you're not going to be getting their business tax next year. You're not getting their GST next year. You're not getting your cut of your salary, their income tax. So the government will in the future lose a lot of money if businesses close. So it makes more sense right now to support those companies, to help them through COVID. And yes, it costs money, but we will get the money back because, we all know that taxes will be there in the years to come, and you'll get taxed, and we'll get the money back. So it's better to spend now. And then the other thing is to create jobs. Infrastructure being a good one, because putting money into infrastructure, I mean, infrastructure has long-term payoffs. in terms of benefits, things like roads and railways and things. I mean, that makes doing business easier and more profitable. So there's long-term paybacks for the economy, but there's also in putting money in infrastructure, you're creating jobs. I mean, in building things, you create jobs.
Marcus, I think if people can reach you, we'll put the links into our article so that they can contact your office or the federal government and Minister Hajdu's office and share their ideas.
Yeah, it's the website is Let's Talk Budget 2021.ca. Let's Talk Budget 2021.ca. So if you just Google it, you'll probably find us.
You bet. Marcus, thank you for talking budget with us.
Thanks, James.
To keep up to date, you have to subscribe. You have to hit that like button and hit the notification to stay in touch.